This is my true incident about the House of the Sinister Shadows, which held a chilling secret, one that would shatter your world and leave you forever questioning the line between victim and villain. Will you unravel the house's secrets, or become another victim trapped in its chilling embrace? Let's listen to my story of being trapped in a house. Rain hammered the windshield, blurring the desolate highway into a shimmering watercolor. The wipers groaned in protest, barely keeping up with the deluge. My knuckles tightened around the steering wheel, anxiety gnawing at me. I shouldn't have been on this deserted road at night, especially not in this weather. Suddenly, the car sputtered, coughed, and lurched to a stop. The engine died, plunging us into an eerie silence broken only by the relentless drumming of rain. We were stranded, miles from the nearest town, with my phone displaying a single, taunting bar of signal. My friend, Sarah, let out a shaky breath. Great. Just what we need. I swallowed my own rising panic. Don't worry, Sarah. I see a house up ahead. We can go there for help. A single light flickered in the distance, a beacon in the storm. Hope bloomed in my chest. As we approached, the house emerged from the shadows, a two-story Victorian structure, dark and imposing. Its paint was peeling, and cobwebs draped the porch like macabre tapestries. It wasn't the most welcoming sight, but it was our only hope. A tall, gaunt figure answered our knock. His eyes, like dark pools, held an unsettling intensity. He introduced himself as Silas, his voice raspy and devoid of warmth. He offered us shelter for the night, his hospitality laced with a hint of something else, something I couldn't quite place. Inside, the house was a labyrinth of dust-laden rooms, each one colder than the last. The oppressive atmosphere made my skin crawl. Silas served us lukewarm tea and stale bread, his gaze lingering on us both a little too long. Sarah grew increasingly nervous, her whispers becoming more frequent as the night wore on. Around midnight, an unsettling silence fell over the house. Then, a blood-curdling scream shattered the stillness. It was Sarah. I raced up the creaking stairs, my heart hammering in my chest. The door to Sarah's room was ajar. Inside, the bed was empty, the sheets ripped and bloodied. A single, crimson stain smeared across the floorboards. Panic clawed at my throat. I spun around, searching the room. In the corner, my gaze fell on a hidden door, slightly ajar. With trembling hands, I pushed it open, revealing a narrow, descending staircase. The damp, earthy smell that hit me was unmistakable, the smell of a freshly dug grave. My legs turned to jelly, but I forced myself down the steps. A desperate hope clinging to me, the passage led to a dimly lit basement, its walls lined with shelves crammed with dusty jars and vials filled with strange, murky liquids. And there, in the center of the room, stood Silas, his back to me. In his hand, he held a gleaming scalpel, dripping with blood. "Don't move," his voice rasped, devoid of the earlier hospitality. This was always my plan. Fresh specimens for my research. The truth hit me like a physical blow. Silas wasn't a savior, he was a monster. My scream echoed in the confined space, competing with the pounding of my terrified heart. Suddenly, the basement door slammed shut. I spun around, but Silas was gone. The silence was deafening, broken only by the dripping of water somewhere deep within the labyrinthine house. I'm still trapped in this house, the silence now filled with an even more chilling sound, my own ragged breaths. Sarah is gone, and I fear I might be next. The only question remaining is, who will find me, and will they be able to escape the clutches of the house and its chilling resident? Hours crawled by, measured only by the gnawing hunger in my stomach and the relentless drip 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 of unseen water. Fear had morphed into a dull ache, replaced by a primal urge to survive. Gathering whatever courage I could muster, I pushed myself off the damp floor and crept towards the hidden door. It was ajar, thankfully, and I slipped back through, my eyes immediately scanning the room for any sign of Silas. Empty, he was gone. Had he taken Sarah with him? Where? And why? The basement seemed strangely empty, the vials and jars lining the walls no longer holding any fascination. It was just another layer of this sinister house, another brick in its prison walls. Desperate for fresh air, I stumbled upstairs and cautiously made my way through the silent house. Every creak of the floorboard sounded like a monstrous footstep, every shadow morphed into a lurking figure. Reaching the living room, I found the front door ajar, dangling precariously on a single hinge. Had it been open all night? Or had Silas left it like that, a twisted invitation to escape? Hesitantly, I stepped out onto the porch. The rain had stopped, leaving the air thick with the scent of wet earth and decay. In the distance, the first rays of dawn painted the horizon in streaks of orange and pink, a stark contrast to the horrors I'd witnessed, but the feeling of safety was fleeting. As my eyes adjusted to the morning light, a single chilling detail sent a fresh wave of terror through me. At the far end of the muddy driveway, half buried in the soft earth, lay a single, crimson shoe. It was Sarah's. The house remained silent, offering no clues to what had transpired within its walls, no answer to the fate of my friend. Did she lie beneath the damp earth, another victim of Silas's macabre experiments? Or had she somehow managed to escape, leaving this sole piece of evidence behind? I stood there, frozen in the early morning light, the weight of the unknown crushing me. The open road stretched out before me, a path towards freedom or deeper into the mystery. As the sun climbed higher, painting the sky in shades of hope, I knew one thing for certain: this wasn't over. Whether Sarah was alive or lost, I couldn't leave it like this. The house may have hidden its secrets in the shadows, but its chilling presence cast a long and ominous shadow on me. I would return, not as a helpless victim, but as someone seeking answers, determined to bring justice for Sarah and, perhaps, even myself. The police arrived promptly after my frantic call. They swarmed the house, their presence a stark contrast to the chilling silence that had consumed me. As they led me away, I caught a glimpse of the basement door, ajar, just as I left it. A sliver of morbid curiosity warred with the urge to flee, a constant battle that mirrored the uncertainty gnawing at my sanity. The days that followed were a blur of interrogations, blood tests, and unnerving silences. The police confirmed that the shoe was Sarah's, found outside the perimeter of the house. No other traces were unearthed, leaving a gaping hole in their investigation and a chasm of despair in my heart. Weeks turned into months, the initial frenzy subsiding into a quiet, nagging ache. Silas vanished without a trace, his motives and secrets buried somewhere within the walls of the house. Driven by a desperate need for closure, I decided to return. This time, I wasn't alone. Accompanied by a seasoned detective, I approached the house with a steely glint in my eyes. It looked eerily similar yet different, stripped of the fear that had shrouded it before. The police scoured the dusty rooms, finding nothing new, while I focused on the basement. A faint scratching sound, barely audible, drew me to the back corner. A loose floorboard, previously unnoticed, creaked under my weight. Prying it open, a narrow tunnel plunged into darkness, its entrance choked with dust and cobwebs. Equipped with flashlights, we descended into the unknown. The air grew thick and stale, the silence broken only by the rasp of our breaths. The tunnel twisted and turned, leading us deeper into the bowels of the house. Finally, it opened into a hidden chamber. The sight that greeted us was both horrifying and captivating. Rows upon rows of glass jars lined the walls, each filled with a grotesque amalgamation of human and animal parts. In the center of the room, a large, ornately carved table held an open book, filled with strange symbols and diagrams. As the detective examined the macabre collection, I stumbled upon a hidden compartment in the table. Inside lay a single, worn photograph. A gasp escaped my lips. It was Sarah, younger and carefree, standing beside a man with dark, familiar eyes. The realization hit me like a physical blow. Silas wasn't the only monster in this house. The picture depicted Sarah and her father, a renowned geneticist rumored to have conducted controversial experiments before mysteriously disappearing years ago. As the truth slowly unfurled, a chilling question arose. Was Sarah a victim, or had she willingly participated in her father's twisted work? And was Silas simply a tool in her hands, or was there an even deeper, darker connection? The answers remained elusive, shrouded in the shadows of the house and the mysteries it held. We left the chamber, its secrets locked away once again, but the image of Sarah in the photograph, her face filled with an unsettling mix of fear and determination, remained etched in my mind. The story of the house and its horrors may have reached an impasse, but my search for Sarah, and for the truth, was far from over. The ending, like the house itself, remained shrouded in shadows, a mystery yearning to be unraveled, leaving me and the reader hanging, forever searching for answers. Months bled into years, the house standing as a grim monument to the unanswered mysteries it held. I continued my pursuit, chasing rumors and dead ends, the image of Sarah ever present. Then, one rainy night, a breakthrough arrived. A call from an anonymous source led me to a hidden lab tucked away in the city's underbelly. Inside, amidst flickering monitors and rows of bubbling concoctions, I found her. Sarah, older and jaded, her eyes mirroring the coldness of the sterile environment, she admitted it all. Driven by a twisted sense of loyalty and the desire to continue their father's work, she had manipulated Silas, using the house as a testing ground for their gruesome experiments. My heart sank, the betrayal cutting deeper than any physical wound. We both stood silent, shadows of our former selves, the bond between us severed by a chasm of horror. As I left the lab, sirens blared in the distance. Sarah had been apprehended, her research halted. But even with justice served, a chilling truth remained. The darkness that resided within the house and within Sarah had seeped into me, irrevocably altering my perception of the world. The horrors I witnessed left an indelible mark, a constant reminder of the monstrous potential lurking beneath the surface of humanity. The house itself still stands, a desolate reminder of the nightmarish events that unfolded within its walls. It remains a silent monument to the chilling truth. The line between victim and villain can be blurred, and the thirst for forbidden knowledge can lead down the darkest of paths. As for me, I carry the weight of those experiences, forever changed by the enigmatic house and the secrets it revealed. The world may never know the full extent of what transpired behind its closed doors, but the memory of its chilling presence and the price paid for its secrets will forever haunt me.